here is somebody who is maybe a bit of a busybody, maybe sticking his nose in here and there where it shouldn't, maybe trying to change society a little more than society wants to be changed. But he basically believed that people had a right to think for themselves. And you think that in the cradle of democracy, that would be the epitome of virtue. But in all societies, when there's conflict, when there's a threat from the outside, then the need to protect comes into place. And when there's a defeat, there's a need to blame. And he was a very convenient scapegoat. And whether or not he deserved it, I don't know. But he certainly seemed to be the wrong person at the right time.
Was he guilty? No, I don't think he was guilty. I think he was, in some ways, his own worst enemy. But whether that really deserves death, I mean, let's face it, if we all deserve death for being our own worst enemies, there would be a much sparser population.
Mm-hmm. Guilty of corrupting it? Oh, no. I don't think he was guilty of corrupting anything. I just think he was a victim of the times and of fear. People are always fear what they don't know, and the whole mob mentality. Go along with the crowd, it's easier, So somebody had to pay the price, and I guess he did.
Scapegoated.
Mm-hmm.
Scapegoated. Yeah.
I don't even think the rule of law indicated that he should have been executed. Even though that's what he was adhering to, what he was adhering to was that it was a process, it was through that process that he was judged, and so he was going to accept the penalty because he accepted that penalty was given out through a system that he's essentially supported.
There was an arrogance about the man. It's very obvious in Act 2 that, he knows he's right, and he doesn't make any secret of the fact that he knows he's right. But at the same time, his ground is very strong. He has every right to think that he is in the right. I really do believe that, and that the others are charlatans who are out to nail him, not for any reasons to do with justice, but because they've been personally affronted by him or something like that, right? And so they're getting their own back. It's like it's politics at its dirtiest, in the way that they behave.
That both Aristophanes and Socrates saw very much the same thing, which is that Greece was at that point, becoming corrupt society, and so they had sort of addressed it from two different ways, and in the ways that they could. And so Aristophanes wrote this play that was a satire. It's a corrupt society. He points it out through the weaker argument. The bankers are corrupt, the politicians are corrupt, the moralists and the actors, and everybody is pretty much taking it up the ass, basically. And the way that they deal with that is to also point out that education is becoming corrupt.
I was listening to what you were saying just now about the theme of corruption running through the play, and I'm sure that's right. But I think Aristophanes as well, knows what he's doing. He's appealing to his audience. He's appealing to a moral sensibility that has seen this and been frightened by it. And part of what he's doing is satirizing that. So just to bring it out in the open and say, this is what's going on, everybody. But partly also to kind of make it into mockery, into a figure of fun, to diffuse the fear through broad brush satire. And it worked then and it works now.
He was a very conscientious Athenian. He wanted to live nowhere else. Given the opportunity to travel, he said, no, I'd rather stay in Athens. Given the opportunity to escape after being found guilty, he said, no, this is my home, this is where I belong, this is the city to which I feel the most loyalty.
This man is a real person who has, a family and has friends and people who care about him, and it's an opportunity in Act 3 for the audience to become emotionally attached to the character.
Although there's great debate about whether Socrates was a Democrat, because some of his followers, Plato for example, questioned democracy and wondered whether or not democracy was really all that hot. I think the record is pretty clear that Socrates was a strong Democrat. He felt it important in a democracy that ordinary citizens be able to question their leaders, even in times of war. And in that sense, although I think some people could easily make the case that his actions constituted a kind of sedition, a kind of undermining of what the principles that you need to hold close during times of war, he saw it as being loyal to his city, and questioning the people and the decisions that were made during times of war, and saying, are we sure we're doing the right things? If you're a Democrat, that's a responsibility that citizens have. And in that sense, of course, he wasn't guilty at all.
Oh, is Socrates guilty? Ah, that's a really interesting question. I differ from Andrew. Andrew thinks he's innocent. I don't. I think it depends on which way you're looking at him. He's certainly innocent as far as morality is in some way is concerned, but he's also, if you are at war, is it right to have restrictions on what people can do? Yes, to a certain extent. And was he going against that? Yes. So I don't think it's all that clear-cut whether he was guilty, and that's why I wanted to keep it open.